Hey, everybody, welcome to Grilling at the Green here on Golf News Network and in Portland and Seattle and various other towns around the country. How's your golf game this week? Did you enjoy the Masters? I did. Today, we've got a great guest with us, Birk Nelson from Orange Whip. He also has played on the Senior Tour, among other things. He's a PGA professional. I met Birk this year at the Portland Golf Show and had a good time, good chat, and I like his
Yeah.
product. Anyway, Birk, welcome.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No problem. So let's start with the resume a little bit, and then we'll get to Orange Whip a little bit later in the show. How's that?
Like the
Um,
history of Burke, is that what we're
the
looking
history of Burke. Yes.
at?
Tell us about that.
Jeff, and I'm proud to say this, I'm an Oregon native, born and raised in Oregon. And so I grew up in Eastern Oregon over in Pentland,
Hmm.
out in the country too. So kind of a farm boy. And for me, golf was a family thing. Our parents would take us out to the golf course. They're members at Pentland Country Club, which is now Birch Creek. But they would take us out there basically for daycare, right? Drop us off, and they would play golf, but we would go swimming. We would hunt for golf balls. My parents still have hundreds of golf balls that we found at Pentland Country Club. This is from the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Um, and we would go fishing, raise havoc. And sometimes when we got a little bored, we would golf. And so my summertime was just it was golfing, but also doing some farm work too. Feeding the sheep, setting sprinklers, and we also had some wheat farms too that we harvested.
Yeah. I was going to say you probably didn't have to set pivots, though, did you, for the water?
No, we actually had a hard line, so we had these aluminum sprinklers we had to drag around, and my mom
Oh,
would always
yeah.
say the formation, like the whatever the H or the four or the F formation, and so we'd go out there and get stung by bees because we'd always be barefoot, and and honestly, this all kind of ties together too. We'd be barefoot, and there's a pasture, right? We had a couple acres down in Peneland and the wheat farm or somewhere else, but in the pasture we had sheep and the sheep would obviously crap everywhere, and we'd step in the crap and it'd be a mess. But the sheep would keep that pasture tight as a fairway.
Yeah.
And so I used to hit golf balls there back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so it was great training for me. It really was. I still think about those days today. Just like when I'm not swinging very well, I think about that tempo and being fixated on that target on the far side of the pasture.
Absolutely. We had a horse farm, and I drug those damned aluminum pipes around like you were talking,
Yep.
and I kind of stopped having to do it one day when I ran over a couple of them with the pickup when I was little and my dad was
Uh-huh.
teaching me to drive. We had a three on the column Chevy,
Yep.
and
Tree on the tree.
and he said hit the brakes and I hit the clutch and the gas and we just ran right over this pipe and just flattened it in two spots, with tire tracks. I think that's the last time I had to drive or drag pipes. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. We all also had little obstacles like that going on in our pasture. One time, I'll never forget that we had a ram that wasn't very happy, and so trying to avoid Hermie was his name. Was an endeavor getting those sprinklers done and trying to avoid Hermie at the same time.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, when you once you got to put on some shoes and maybe hitting balls at the golf course, did you think that this is your vocation going forward? Is this what you
Well,
wanted to do?
I think like all kids, when they're young, they dream about everything being football, baseball, basketball,
Oh yeah.
everything. And then as you go through middle school and high school, you start specializing, right? And so it started becoming clear to me that golf is my thing. I liked it, I was good at it, and started focusing in on that. And so that was really kind of my sophomore year. And I think that's probably the first year I shot even par. But I was starting to like, hey, this is something I can do. And I loved it. I started reading books about it. I started playing my first tournaments. Now, here's the thing: is I didn't play a ton of tournaments because being from Penland, there weren't a whole lot of tournaments to play in. It
Right.
wasn't like I was living in Portland and going down to Salem and up to Vancouver or anything to play golf tournaments. I only had a handful of tournaments. And I remember one, I got my license. My parents sent me away to the Dalles And I went to the Dalles, and there's 18-hole tournament. I never played the course in my life, and it blew so hard. And I grew, being from Pendleton, I grew up in the wind, so that wasn't a big deal. And I shot 75. I didn't feel that great about the round, but when everything's said and done, I won. And so I drove home. My parents trusted me for the first time with the car, and I drove home, and I get out of the car and they said, "How'd you do?" I said, "I won." So, and that feeling of
Yeah.
winning is really what kind of set me like on that course of this is what I want to do. This is so much fun.
Did you go directly from the wheat fields to Oregon State?
I did. I did. I have no idea how I made it to Oregon State's golf team. I didn't have a scholarship. I just had a spot on the team. But I remember that the head coach at the time, Todd Rolfes, came out to watch me. He watched me play in the Oregon Amateur, and he watched me play one hole, and I hooked it in the trees. I'll never forget this hole. I hooked in the trees at Waverly. I hooked it in the trees. I hooked it out of the trees over the green, and then I chunked my chip, and then I made the putt for par. And then he
You're
just he walked away. That was it. That's all. That was my audition.
you
And
impressed the hell out of him,
I'm like,
Birk.
oh man. And so before I know it, though, I had a spot on the team. Well, at least so I thought. And it came to be that Todd Rolfes got let go that summer. And then Steve Altman became the head coach, but Steve Altman didn't know me. He didn't recruit me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I had a spot on the team. I didn't know if Steve Altman had the notes from Rolfes that Birk's on the team. So I show up to school early, and I'm sitting there with another kid who thought he had a spot on the team. And we wait for Altman to come into the to the golf course to let everyone know what's going on. And he said, Birk, you have a spot on the team, and the other kid didn't. And I don't know why to this day, but I took that position at Oregon State and ran with it. It was great. And I, in fact, I feel like this was part of my success at Oregon State is I was hungry.
Yeah.
Right. I came out of Pendleton High School, not playing a ton of tournaments, not playing a ton of junior tournaments, and now I have this opportunity to practice and play to my heart's content. And I was just a pig in mud, right?
Oh
All these
yeah.
other
Yeah, yeah.
kids, they've been playing golf their entire life, junior golf. They've been playing tournaments all summer long, and they may have been a little burned out, but not me. And so what that led to was a really good practice routine. I practiced all the time. People ask me what my major was in college, and I said it's golf because
Yeah.
it really
Yeah.
was. It's what I spent my time doing. And so that freshman year wasn't the greatest year though at Oregon State. I qualified for the first tournament, and I played pretty good, except I was being a rookie, you're going to make a rookie mistake, and I made the ultimate rookie mistake. This is at Dayton Valley, down in Carson City. God,
Hmm.
I feel like I got that course name wrong, but Arnold Palmer Golf Course, and I hit the wrong ball on a hole, which
Oh,
which is fine, two-stroke penalty. But what I didn't know is I didn't know I was hitting the wrong ball, and I hold out with it on that hole. And if you hold out with the wrong ball, you're disqualified.
right.
And so I got disqualified from that round. And so I had to, hat in hand, I had to come to my coach and say, tail between my legs and say, do you know what? I played pretty good today, but I got disqualified.
Oh,
And so,
jeez.
so I didn't see another event until the end of the season that freshman year when I played in the Pac-10 championship. And this is another interesting story, Jeff, that I practiced all year long, and the Pac-10s comes up, and we try to qualify for it. And Phil Mickelson's in this Pac-10 championship, right? This is 1991 at Tristing Tree, 1992, excuse me, at Tristing Tree, and I didn't make the top 5 guys to qualify for the event, and so I felt bad, but whatever. I kept on practicing at the golf course. Well, lo and behold, the 5th guy on the team injures himself in mountain biking. And so now coach needs to fill that spot. And who's he looking at? He's looking at the only guy that didn't stop practicing once the season was over. And that was
That,
me.
that was you.
That was
Yeah.
me. And so I went in and I played great that Pac-10 championship. In fact, that Pac-10s turned out to be a really good tournament for me overall, where I had a good freshman year. My sophomore year, I finished 4th. My junior year, I finished 2nd, and my senior year, I finished 2nd. I could never quite win it, but I was always right there.
Always in the run. Hey, we're going to take a break, and Burke and I will be back here on Grilling at the Green in just a minute or so. Stay with us. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. I'm JT. I want to thank some folks here that make this show possible. The folks at Birdie Ball. If you need a practice putting mat, check out birdieball.com. They've got lots of choices, and be sure and get a dozen birdie balls to practice with in your backyard or wherever you might have a chance to practice. And also the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended. We've got Burke Nelson with us today. I met Burke at the Portland Golf Show this year. I don't think we'd met prior to that for some reason.
No, no,
But
we haven't.
we are Burke is with Orange Whip, also a PGA pro and all that. And so before we get back into that, Burke, this is the part of the show where I always ask somebody for a travel tip, especially for golf. And a lot of people say, protect your club heads or whatever, and that's fine. But we've also had some interesting ones like wrap your underwear around, your driver or something like that. So, um, what's Burke Nelson's travel tip?
This is a good one. You got me off guard a little bit here, so I got to think about it. You already said protect your golf clubs, and one of my travel tips is, I work for the Orange Whip trainer, which is the absolutely best training aid. But one of the benefits of the Orange Whip trainers is 47 inches long, which is just a smidge longer than your driver.
Yeah,
And so the Orange Whip also serves as a club protector in my golf bag too. So when I do travel with it, but I don't want to do that because that's kind of a layup already, right? And
yeah,
so
yeah.
so I got to think about this with the golf bag because I do travel a lot with my golf equipment, and man, I get on a scale and I make sure that thing is 49 pounds, not over 50 pounds, but I get everything in there that I can for my shoes, obviously golf balls, rain gear, umbrella, extra golf clubs. I put everything in that bag. I wrap everything with a towel. I usually bring two golf towels and I wrap my golf clubs are so important to me, especially my irons. I don't want them clicking back and forth on the
Right.
plane. And so I definitely wrap them all with a nice towel. Now, the best golf club company I've ever been around as far as travel equipment is a Club Glove. And
Hmm.
Club Glove, they have just the best travel. I got a couple of their travel bags, one for my small bag, another one for my big bag. And then I have my suitcase, which is Club Glove. And it works in tandem with my golf bag. So I can just go through the airport like a little tiny train with my bag and my golf club all connected together. And then I have like a little matching laptop bag that goes with it too. So that's my greatest little travel. I feel like I'm just like all set up nice and tight and ready to
Oh
go.
yeah. Yeah, I've drugged golf clubs through the airports many times, and sometimes it's not much fun. Sometimes you get lucky and you just get them checked or whatever, and boom, boom, and then other times not so much. So, I want to thank the folks, my good friends over at Weston Kia in Gresham, the number one Kia dealer there in Oregon, and they do things the Weston way in Gresham. Go to westonkia.com. So we're talking about you're coming up through the ranks, and
Yeah.
you also played TW at one point, and not too many people can play him, survive to talk about it, but you did.
Right, right. Tiger and I played together actually three times together, which is great. We played over in New York was the first time we played together. There was a tournament called the Porter Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few months after that, we met at a tournament that was just televised this last week, college tournament called the Western Intercollegiate. Now, I was part of supposed to be a feature foursome with Tiger, myself, and Aaron Oberhauser. And I somehow made that foursome because I won two big tournaments that summer before, and that was the PNGA Championship and the Pacific Coast Amateur. And so Aaron Oberhauser decided not to play with us in that tournament. He didn't want the pressure because it was going to be televised for the first time. There's probably
Sure.
Tiger effect, right? And so Aaron doesn't play with us. So we play their number two guy from San Jose State, and we had a great time. It was so much fun, and I got some stories from that. I even got some video from that because someone has given me the footage. I got on VHS tape, and it's so fun to watch. In fact, one of the videos that I show it during some of my presentations. It's on the 16th hole, kind of a famous hole at Pasatiempo. It's a three-tiered green, and I hit my shot in there, and it hits the stick and rattles the flag and ends up about 12 feet away. And then Tiger comes over and gives me a high five, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's amazing!" So mad respect, right? Mad respect, and so I always like that. But Tiger and I met a few weeks after that at the Pac-10 Championship, and this was at Big Canyon Country Club in Newport Beach, California. And we were in the final round together, and the final group, the final round, and and when you play a Tiger, the number one goal is you want to beat Tiger, right? If you're going to play a Tiger,
Right.
you want to beat Tiger. And so this is a great opportunity for me to beat Tiger. Final round, final group. Everyone's going to look at what those players shot when they come in. And long story short, I beat him that day. I shot 68. He shot 71. I got him, right? I got him. And it felt so good. But here's the problem, Jeff, is I took second to him in the tournament. So I beat him by 3 for the day, but I took second in the tournament. And a question I always ask everyone is like, how many shots do you think I lost by? Right. And so I'm going to have you guess. How many shots do you think I lost by? I beat him by 3 in the final round to take second to him.
I'm guessing because I didn't read any of this beforehand, so I'm going to say four.
14. You're 10
Oh.
off. 14 shots. And so I thought that was so funny because at the US Open I think he won by like 13 shots or something like that over
Yeah.
everybody else. But 14 shots, and I played my guts out in that tournament. And I thought that was so funny to beat it by 3 shots in the final round and to lose by 14. But I knew going to that final round I was down by 17 shots, right? And I thought to myself, if I birdie every hole today and he shoots even par, I'm going to win this tournament. And Jeff, guess what? I went out and birdied the first hole, and I thought it's going to happen. Well, it didn't happen. But that was the Tiger effect too. It was really humbling. Here I thought I was an extremely good player, right? I was winning some big tournaments, and and I play great in the Pac-10 championship, and I lose by 14 shots. I didn't play bad. I played very good.
Yeah.
Um,
But he
and
was on another level a lot of
he
times in his career.
he was on another level. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was on another level. I mean, it was different. He played different golf, right, than
Yeah.
anyone else.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it was definitely awesome playing with him in that tournament. Well, kind of going on with the story of Burke too, is I went from college golf to a struggling mini tour pro. And so I did everything I could to try to make the PGA Tour, and I played every tour you could ever imagine. The Hooters Tour, the Cascade Golf Tour, the you name it, the Nike
Yeah.
Tour, the Kentucky Fried Open. If I found a tournament, I would play in it. And and fast forward, he's like, after about I think there's about 8 years of that, you realize, like, do you know what? I am just a starving artist. I am one of those guys on the side of the road playing their guitar, asking for money. I am that person in the golf sense, and I better get a real job.
There you go.
So,
Hey,
and that's what brought me. Oh, go ahead.
we're gonna take
Yeah.
another quick break, but Burke and I'll be back right after this. More starving artist stories. I love it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. I'm JT, and we got Burke Nelson with us today from Orange Whip Trainer. We also like to thank the guys up at Birdie Wrap. Um, if you ever get a little sore spot or nick on your fingers, and you get old, like I'm old, even though Burke's got a gray beard, he is not as old as I am. I know that for a fact. Um,
But I
but
got a
the
neck on my finger.
Yeah, well, there you
Yeah.
go. And that birdie wrap stuff is really good. It's kind of like K tape, but it breathes better and it's stretchy. So go to birdywrap.com right there. I've got it on my bag. I use it all the time. Anyway, I want to talk more a little bit, and then we'll get into the Orange Whip Trainer a
Yeah.
little bit more about the starving artist stuff. So, what was
Yeah.
the the epiphany, Burke, when you finally said, okay, I got to get a real job? You mentioned this in the last segment. I got to get a real job. But I mean, people would think normally you would go, okay, let's go be a club pro. Or there's certain things you kind of check the boxes on when you think about pro golfers. You know,
Yeah.
you're a tour player, you're a club pro, you're a head teaching guy, whatever. But and you've done kind of all of that, but you also are in business, real business outside of that. What was the epiphany when you said, "Okay, I got to quit," and how do I go about finding this other line of work?
Well, I know I wanted to stay in golf, right? Because that
Yeah,
was my passion. That was all my experiences, everything I ever did. And so when the realization came to me, it was real easy. I had a lot of good connections around the state, but I was in Eugene, and beyond. I went to Oregon State and Corvallis, so Eugene wasn't like my native area.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. You were in the DMZ down there, buddy.
I was. I was told I felt like I was kind of a Mormon on a mission, just trying to spread the gospel of the Oregon State University in the city of Eugene. But I went around to different golf courses, and basically I dropped off an application. And lo and behold, I get a phone call back from Diamond Woods Golf Course. A golf course that's kind of out of the way near Junction City Golf Course. Fantastic owners of Jeff Doyle and his wife Liz and his brother Greg Doyle, and he called me and he made me an offer to be the head pro. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I have no experience,
Yeah,
but Jeff was a baseball star, and he played for Oregon State, and then he went and played Major League Baseball. He's an awesome person, but he knew my history, and he made some phone calls, and he felt secure bringing me in as the head pro. So Jeff, after retiring from baseball, he used his, the money they made from baseball to buy some property and develop a golf course, a diamond in the rough, or diamond woods, like baseball diamond.
sure.
It was beautiful. And so I tell you what, it was fantastic. I worked out there for 6 years. I had so much fun as the head pro at that golf course. It was great. And that's when I joined the PGA, got my membership. But here's the thing is I quickly realized it's hard to be a head pro and also a father at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you work weekends, you work holidays, you work all summer long. And so it dawned on me that, you know what, I'm not going to be, it's hard to be too hard to be a good father and work at this golf course and in this golf business at the same time. And so I got out of golf. I quit golf for about 7 years. I worked in the IT world, a company called CBT Nuggets, and it was the first time in my life where it's like a change in identity, because I was a golfer, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden I wasn't a golfer anymore, right?
Yeah.
And so it didn't take me, it took me 7 years, but you realize, like, enjoyment in what you do in life is super important. If you can find something that you enjoy doing, you can make a living at it, and you're good at it, you found happiness in life. And I knew golf was my calling, but I knew I didn't want to be behind the counter anymore at the golf shop. My kids are too important to me. So I used to sell a product in my golf shop called the Orange Whip. And the Orange Whip was invented by a teammate of mine at Oregon State University, Jim Hackenberg.
Yay.
Yeah. And so that's when I gave them a call. I said, "Hey, I'm a PGA professional. I'm here over on the West Coast. You guys know me. Is there any way I could come on board and help this product out that I love so much?" And they said, "Yeah, it'd be great." And so, man, I think that was about 8 years ago, and it's been a great partnership ever since, where I help them out with sales, I help them out with marketing, I help them out with education. So I go to different teaching conferences and talk to other PGA pros about our products and how to use them. And it's so much fun because it's using my skill set, getting me out in front of the people that I know and respect, um, and selling a product that I absolutely love.
I know, Burke, that there's knockoffs of your
Yeah,
product.
right,
Um, because I actually had one at one point, and then when I, all seriousness, I chucked it after I met you because I picked it up. I came home one night from the golf show and I went in the closet and got it, and I picked it up, and then the next day I picked one of yours up and swung one of yours at the golf show. Yours was heavier and more like swinging a real club instead of a
right.
stick with an orange ball stuck on the end of it.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. No, that's our patent though, right? So there's lots of copies of the Orange Whip, but nothing can copy the counterweight. The
right.
counterweight is the patent of the Orange Whip. And so what you'll see in some of these golf shops, they come from China, right? And so they're long. They have a yellow or a gray or a green ball on the end of them, but they don't have a counterweight. Sometimes they try to look like they have a counterweight. They have a like a colored end on the end of the grip, but they don't have a
Right.
counterweight. And without that counterweight, that's the important part of the orange whip. That's what brings the balance in, like you're talking about. It might be heavier, but it swings more like a golf club.
Right.
But more importantly, what that counterweight does is when you're swinging an orange whip back and forth, that counterweight makes sure that club stays on the same plane. It's a lot like a bicycle wheel rotating. What do they call it? Rotational inertia. And so when something is rotating, it doesn't fall over until it's stopped. And when you swing an orange whip on that swing plane, it likes to stay on the swing plane. So if someone is fighting coming over the top or getting shallow, if they swing one of those little Chinese knockoffs, it's not going to stop them from doing that. But if you swing an orange whip, it's gently going to guide you into that proper swing plane back and forth.
Right. Yeah, I need to get I got my producer, my editor, an orange whip from you at the golf show, but I didn't buy myself one. So
I gotta get you an orange. I'm making a note right now.
get me an orange whip there. Um, one
Okay.
of the things that I found fascinating about it, where we live, and if you're not in the daily routine of going to the course and hitting balls or whatever,
Mhm.
okay, up here in the Northwest, we tend to sit on our butts a lot
Right.
during the winter because of the weather. There's some covered, like where I live, Langdon Farms is not far away, and they've got a covered range there. You know, you can stay out. But most of the courses, you're out in the open, and a lot of people won't do that. And so what? Um, and we all think we're going to get up and we're going to go to the pool or we're going to go walk 5 miles or whatever the hell we're going to do. But most of us don't do it. But one of the things I found fascinating in talking to you at the golf show was it's a good way to the orange whip is kind of a good way to uh, work into getting back, getting your swing back, getting the muscles stretched out, getting a little bit of exercise without thinking you're going to suit up and go to the gym for 2 hours. That was one of the takes I got from it was it's a good way to go out on your deck or wherever you've got room, and make 10, 20 swings, whatever, just kind of start the process for the year.
So Jeff, this is what I've come to the conclusion playing with so many good players over my career, and it's real easy. Is the people that play the best golf, especially at my age where I am right now, the people that are playing the best golf are the ones that are constantly training, constantly
Hmm.
playing, practicing, swinging the golf club, and sometimes that entails them going down to the desert to go work with a golf instructor or go play golf down there. But inevitably, they're all playing and swinging more times than I am throughout the year.
Right.
And so I realized that this last season, um, and and so I'm like, okay, so here's the problem. I understand that if you want to get better at anything at life, you need to put in more reps, right? If you want to be better at darts, you got to throw more darts. If you want to get better at shooting free throws, you got to shoot more free throws. If you want to get better at golf, it's all about making more golf swings. But the problem is I don't want to go to the golf course and hit balls off mats. I hate hitting off mats. I hate hitting I don't want to hit in the rain. I don't want to hit in the wind or the cold or the mud. Um, I'm getting too old for that. I don't want to go out there and do that. It'll last for a half hour and it's no fun.
Right.
I used to do it in college, but I don't want to do it anymore. But the problem arises that I want to get better at golf. Right? These guys are outworking me and they're playing better than me. And how am I going to beat them if they're putting in the reps and I'm not? Well, what I did, not this winter, but the winter before, is I made a dedicated workout routine during the winter time that, I do a normal workout, but every day I'm swinging an orange whip. I'm swinging an orange whip right hand, I'm swinging the left handed. So I'm getting my reps in, right? So I'm getting my reps in. And then I had some motivation. I qualified for the US Senior PGA Championship that
Right.
next summer. So this was last year. And so I knew I was kind of prepping for that. I didn't want to take too much time off the game prepping for that tournament. So I got my reps in preparing for that. But lo and behold, right after that senior PGA championship, I also qualified for the senior US Open. And so I had some really good things going on. And
Cool.
I felt deep down that I put in the time and deserved to play well. Well, the funny thing is, I didn't play that well at the Senior PGA Championship, but at the Senior U.S. Open, there's a different story. I came out, I knew what to expect. I felt more comfortable out there,
Right.
and and all of a sudden, I'm playing. I'm on the putting green with VJ Singh, right? I'm on the putting green with Darren Clark or Steve Stricker or Bernard Longer. I'm with all these guys out there preparing for this tournament, and I'll be honest, I felt like a fish out of water, right?
Well, I'm
Like,
sure. Yeah.
they call it what an imposter syndrome. But I also know that it's not me against VJ. It's not me against Lee Westwood. It's not me against Steve Stricker. It's me against the golf course. And I have an advantage is I play hard golf courses really well, and I play really well in the wind. And guess what? That US Senior Open was really windy and the course was really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I went out and I shot 70 that first round, which was even par in the windiest afternoon you've ever seen, right? But I knew if I could get through that 70 over that first round, it was going to get easier after that because the next morning I was going to play the next morning, less wind, right? And I shot 68 that next morning and made the cut easily at that Senior Open. So now I am sitting there. Now I'm really a fish out of water because I'm looking at the pairings. I'm playing with Mark Hensby and Stephen Alker, right? Stephen Alker won the Charles Schwab Cup. He's the number one
Right.
player on the senior tour, and I'm paired with him in the third round. Um, and once again, it's not me against Steve Alker. It's me against the golf course, Newport
Right.
Country Club. And I go around that day, and I'm just having an all right day. I'm one over after 9 holes, and lo and behold, I hole it out on the 10th hole for eagle out of the middle of the fairway, and
Oh, good for you.
it put me at 10 under, and I mean, excuse me, at 1 under for the day, and I think I parred out from there the rest of the holes, which was great. To finish 1 under for the round, 3 under total for the tournament. And then I'm like, holy cow, I'm in 20th place at this tournament. And I'm playing among these elites. Who am I going to play with tomorrow? Well, guess what? I play with Stephen Ames and Podrick Harrington,
Oh,
right? Once again, fish out of water. This is Burke. This is Burke. This is Burke from Eugene, Oregon, who works from his couch in the wintertime, while these guys are down in Florida or Arizona hitting golf balls with their golf coach. But I had an advantage. I swung that orange whip all winter long. I was getting my reps in just like they were getting their reps in.
yeah.
And that's how I figure I was able to hang with these guys was I may have taken the winter off from golf, but I didn't take it off from golf swings.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so I went around that round. I shot even par that round. I beat Podrick for the day. I finished 16th at the tournament and made a
Good for
nice little
you.
check and felt really proud for representing the Northwest. I was the only player from the Northwest in the tournament, and so it felt great.
Well, good for you, Burke. We're going to take one more quick break, and Burke and I will be back to wrap up the show. You're listening to Grilling at the Green on the Golf News Network. We'll be right back. Welcome back to what's the name of the show? Oh yeah, Grilling at the Green. Today we've got Burke Nelson with us. Burke's gonna stick around for after hours and suffer that abuse with me. Trust me, he doesn't know about that, but he
No, I
will.
don't.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. Well, for some people, it's fun for me. I don't know how it'll be for you, but if you look back on your career and to everything that's gotten, I let me back up a step. I'm of the beliefs that you're where you're supposed to be in life because you've taken everything you've done has put you where you are today. That's for you, that's for me, that's for everybody. Some good, some bad. And I'm a big believer in choices, but if you look back on your career, would you have changed anything? You seem pretty happy with where you're at.
Well, do you know what? I am happy because I feel like the secret to happiness, right? I have a job in a career that I'm good at, that I have passion behind, right? You can be good at something and not have passion behind it, but I'm good
Right.
at it, have passion behind it, and I can make a living doing it. And that's with the Orange Whip trainer. but I'm able to give back to the sport by giving golf lessons at the local golf course, and that's really fulfilling for me, helping juniors and ladies out with the game of golf. But I also play golf too, and playing is my passion. And so I really do feel like I've found the secret to happiness in this game of golf is I have this balance in life where I can be a father to my children, but also have
Right.
balance throughout the game, which is fantastic. And I love it. If I was on tour, if I was given a membership on the tour, I don't know if I'd want it. I don't want to go out there for 3 weeks and play. I don't want to be away that long. I like going down like this evening. I'm going to go play pickleball down at the court and have a good time with my neighbors. And so it's a I being around home feels a lot better to me. But with that being said, if I did one thing different, it was funny because golf was my major in college. I wasn't going to graduate in 4 years. I was going to graduate in five, and so my senior year, my fourth year, I decided to redshirt,
Oh
and
yeah.
so I played, my freshman, sophomore, junior, then I redshirted, then came back my fifth year to play golf. I thought I was going to be able to develop physically, develop mentally, and really dominate this game coming back. The problem though, Jeff, is I started trying to, because I had a whole year off just practicing with the team, but not playing. I spent the whole year working on a golf swing, trying to perfect it that wasn't broken, right? I was watching
Yeah.
videos. I was trying to get in positions. I was already hitting the ball fantastic. I didn't need to change anything. So if I were to change one thing, I would have, maybe I would have redshirted that year, but I definitely wouldn't have worked on my golf swing like I did. I would have just played.
Yeah. Well, we saw Tiger do that a few times. I mean, he back in 97 through 205 or whatever it was, I think he changed his swing twice. Whose swing was better to begin with?
I don't know, but he may have had better people around him when he was changing his swing than I did.
Well, maybe. But my question is, I guess it's something that he felt internally that he had
Right.
to do. But if you looked at it, the average person looking at it wouldn't have noticed that much of a difference. He did. Tour pros did. Teaching professionals
Mhm.
noticed little, idiosyncrasies in the swing that he changed. Um, but
But
I
he was
think,
already playing great golf, right?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's at the highest level you can probably get to
Hmm.
at that time. And anyway, I'm just like, yeah, okay, you do what you do.
Yeah. So if I went back in time, I definitely wouldn't have tried to work on my swing. I wouldn't have. I would have just played.
Okay, so I want to go back to Orange Whip for a second. How can people find it, find you, find out any more information about it? I got to get that in the show always. So,
Yeah, so the Orange Whip, fantastic product. A lot of people use it for rhythm, tempo, and balance. And the beauty of it, it's so simple to use. All you do is swing it. But you can find it. You can find it anywhere. You find it online at Orange Whip Trainer. You can find it at any golf retailer. So there's Dick's Sporting Goods or Golf Galaxy, or up in the Northwest here, it's going to be Putts Golf or Pro Golf Discount or Fiddler's Green or Red Tail in Portland. They all carry the Orange Whip Trainer. We also customize Orange Whip trainers now. So if you have school colors or anything you want to match, you can easily go online, adjust those colors. It's already
right.
orange and black for Oregon State. So
Yeah, I saw
I don't
that.
have to
Yep.
change that and get it in there. But it's a fantastic training tool, and it's easy to find. Even get it on Amazon. We manage our Amazon account. So if you're buying it from Amazon, you're buying it from us.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
You do that. I noticed because we had talked about this a couple weeks ago. You do the kind of got a patriotic theme too on one of
Yeah,
them.
right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's kind of cool looking.
That's a really cool one. That went well. So the PGA's really hit a home run with their PGA Hope program. And so that's where they are putting veterans together,
Uh-huh.
disabled veterans, to learn the game of golf. And so the Orange Whip has been integral in letting them learn golf, even if it requires adaptive training, right? They might be missing an arm and still swinging an Orange Whip to help them understand how the rhythm and tempo is important.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Burke Nelson, Orange Whip Trainer, uh, just south of me, about 90 miles.
Yeah.
Been great to have you on the show. Stick around for after hours.
Hey, I
Um,
gotta mention one thing.
yeah,
If
yeah.
anyone's interested, follow me this summer. I'm playing in the U.S. Senior PG, oh, excuse me, the Senior PGA Championship at Congressional Country Club in Washington D.C.
You
So
need a
that's gonna come
caddy?
up in the third. What's that? Do I need a cat? No, that's gonna be that's gonna be Jim Hackenberg from the Orange Whip.
Okay, good for you. We will be following. We'll probably we'll mention it on the show prior to the event. Okay.
Cool.
We'll get you some love that way. Burke Nelson, Orange Whip trainer. We'll be back next week with another edition of Grilling at the Green. I'm JT. We want to thank Burke again. He's going to be here for after hours. Till then, go out, play some golf, have some fun, but most of all, be kind. Take care, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to After Hours here on Grilling at the Green. I've got Burke Nelson with me from Orange Whip Trainer. Burke is also a serious player out there, and he's playing this year in the at Congressional. When is that?
May, boy, you're gonna ask me 22nd through the 26th, 23rd through the 26th.
Okay. That'll
Yeah,
be fun.
it'd be
It
fantastic.
it won't be it'll only be 80% humid back there at that time.
Yeah.
So, um this is something that we've not rehearsed. Of course, if you know my shows, we never rehearse anything. But these are kind of some fun questions for Burke. So, here's the first one. If you were declared supreme leader of golf for one day, what would you, as supreme leader, declare?
Go back to Persimmon Woods. That's what I do. I really
Okay.
would. I love the game the way it used to be. With Persimmon Woods, there's a lot more, I guess, finesse with the game. You could work the golf ball, hit it high or low. And today, and the sweet spot was a lot smaller. Today's golf club is just, it's just, you just swing as hard as you can, and it's going to be there when you deliver the club.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could play a round of golf with one of your golfing heroes, who would it be?
Oh boy. I already crossed off Tiger on that list. And then Podrick was a lot of fun too. And so one of my golfing heroes, it's funny because I want to beat them all, you know.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
so I play with them. It's not gonna be for fun, it's gonna because I want to beat them. I'm going back. I'm gonna think about this. Honestly, I would love to play with some of my old teammates from Oregon State. I think that would be fantastic.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, and to get together with some of those guys that were instrumental to me when I was developing.
What years did you go to OSU?
91 through 96.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I was about 10 years ahead of you there. So, um do you think professional golf is getting further removed from just the everyday average golfer?
I don't know. COVID really was a benefit for golf where it brought in a lot of young blood into the game, and it was great for the golf game. And so the problem with golf, and this goes back to why I would bring in Persimmon Woods, is the golf ball goes further nowadays.
Right.
And when you have a golf ball that goes further, you need to build longer golf courses, and longer golf courses cost more money to maintain. And more money to maintain means more, they have to charge more money. So that makes golf a little bit more exclusive for people instead of being more open to people
Right.
to play. And
No,
so
I
it's and so golf is, I'd like to see it. I'd like to kind of see it go back and get governed a little bit.
what's your Burke, what's your favorite golf course of all the courses you've played?
The old Tristing Tree
Okay.
before it was a few of the holes were renovated. I love that golf course. It was fantastic shape. It was so much fun to play. It was wide open, but it wasn't wide open.
Okay. Name something or someone that you were really enthused about when you first saw it or them or heard of it, and then with time your excitement kind of fizzled.
Oh boy. Okay. I always try to relate everything to golf, right? Something that fizzled. I might have to come back to this one. This is a tough
Okay.
one for me. I might have to come back to it.
That's okay. That's
Okay.
okay. Um
Thinking.
yeah. If you could, this is one of my favorites. I think this tells you a lot about folks. If you could dine with a historical figure, who would it be and what would be on the menu?
Okay. It's gonna be Lewis and Clark. All right.
And it's going to be
And we're
beaver jerky.
It is. It is. It's going to be horse meat or some just nasty thing that they had to eat
Yeah.
on their adventure, whether buffalo or horse or beaver or, uh, yeah, that.
I could do the buffalo easy. I've even being an old horse guy, I actually
You
ate
see
horse one.
dogs. They ate
Yeah,
dogs
they ate
and they
dogs.
liked them. They said they were good. They would
Mm,
trade for dogs.
I'm not
So,
sure dogs had kibble back in those days, but yeah. Um, what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
oh, I make the best cup of coffee you would ever imagine.
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
I nerd out on it. I even weigh my beans. I get my filter all like already wet, so it kind of leaches all the flavors out of it. So it's more of a clean cup. Uh,
Wow.
get a nice grind. I mist my beans before I grind them, so there's no static electricity forming. It's I get the water at the perfect temperature, and it is the most delicious cup of coffee. I only have one cup of coffee, but it's a really good one.
Well, you are in Eugene, so
Yeah,
there's a lot,
I am.
you know, like that. Yeah, Burke, if you could erase one mistake from your past, what would it be?
One mistake from my past, what would it be? I would have hit a 9 iron on the 18th hole instead of the 8 iron during the Pac-10 championship when I lost in a playoff to Jason Gore. I absolutely flagged it. And if you ever played Tucson National, you do not want to go over that green at all. And because I didn't really understand how adrenaline worked, I just hit that 8 iron about 10 yards further than I ever have in my life. And I would, it's so much better to be pin high or short. And I've always prided myself in being really good at distance control with my
Yeah.
irons. And so to be 10 yards long was just, oh, I left myself with the most impossible sand shot downhill. And I lost the Pac 10 championship to Gore because of that.
Well,
Yeah.
adrenaline and dry air don't help.
I knew my distances. I knew where I was
Yeah.
headed. It all made sense. It all added up in my head. I just didn't factor in adrenaline, and I just,
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah.
I flagged it too. It was perfect.
So, Burke, if I gave you a box with everything you've lost in your life, what is the one thing you would look for in that box?
Oh, this is so funny. You know what? It'd be a bayonet.
Really?
Yeah, when I was a kid. Remember, I grew up in the country,
Yeah.
and somehow my parents we they had this rental. There's an old rental, and someone moved out. And when they moved out, they left a bunch of stuff. They left a bayonet, and it was from 1901. It written on it had a little wood handle on it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I had no idea where that thing went. But I loved that bayonet for some reason. It just felt
I'll t-
cool.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you a secret. I have. I don't see it right now. I have one of those that I found in our creek when I was a kid. It's about
Wow.
that long. It was
Yeah.
from World War One.
Yeah.
It was a bayonet they used on their I don't know what they weren't using M1s back then, I don't think. But whatever it was a really long bayonet. And I've kept it for, 60 years since I found it when I was a kid.
What if there's
But
mine?
it, it's a little rough because it'd been in the creek for a while. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
I know exactly which bayonet you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's the biggest change you think should be made in besides persimmons in pro golf and in amateur golf?
In pro golf and amateur golf, and I'm going to go back to getting that golf ball to go, a little bit more governed,
Yeah,
making those golf courses a little more realistic. These 240-yard par threes are just
yeah.
ridiculous. I felt like the game was better when back in the day, but I'm sure everybody that gets older says that too. Uh,
Well, yeah, yeah.
you
That's
know, it's
part
kind
of.
of funny story is I have a good friend who won the NCAA championship back in I think it was 1993. Todd Dempsey, fantastic player, and so he's nostalgic, kind of like myself, and he actually makes persimmon woods now. He sells them through two companies. Sells them through Powerbuilt Golf, and then he also sells them through Link Soul, golf company that's kind of related to Ashworth. And so he's so nostalgic that he still plays with Persimmon Woods, and he almost qualified for the Champions Tour with Persimmon Woods.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
amazing story. Yeah, Todd Dempsey.
What what's your favorite flavor of Lifesaver?
The pineapple.
You like you're the only guy on the show that's ever said that, pineapple.
Pineapple.
I'm the green guy. I like the green ones and some of the
Yeah,
red ones,
yeah,
okay?
yeah, they're all good, but the pineapple, it always gets
The
me.
pineapple good. You have a favorite movie?
Oh, a couple. Okay, so it's a random one that no one's ever really probably heard of, but it was Jack Nicholson. It had Mary Steenburgen and Danny DeVito is in it. Christopher Lloyd. It was called Going South.
Yep.
And absolutely loved that movie. I used to watch with my mom, and we just laugh our heads off. I still say lines from it all the time. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, Going South.
What's the best and then worst concert you ever went to?
Best concert was U2, Seattle. So they played their Joshua Tree, which was an album I absolutely loved growing up, and so I got to the concert and they played that whole album start to finish, and they sounded so good, right? Just like they
Really?
used to, and it was just absolutely amazing. The worst concert I've ever been to. Oh man, I love music so much. It's hard for me to think of a bad concert. It's so bad I probably erased it from my memory. That's usually how bad it was, right?
Yeah. Well, I
It's
have
like,
some I just flat don't remember, but that was
yeah,
the era I came up in. So, you have to say
yeah. There's
that.
been there's been a couple, but there's been so many that I remember that have been so. I recently watched Squeeze. They were fantastic. There's with Violent Femmes, all these little bands I used to
Oh, yeah.
listen to
So
growing
that
up.
brings me to the next question. If we put Burke's skills to music, what would the music be?
Oh man. If you put my skills to music, what would it would be alternative? I guarantee that. It'd be a mishmash of different all. It's not one group.
Yeah,
It would be a little bit everything on the alternative scale.
it'd be
Uh,
a soundtrack.
it would be. It would because my golf game is if you read a textbook, not everything is really textbook in my golf game. But it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Uh, kind of like alternative music. So it's not like anything that you're going to hear on popular radio. But it's going to be good.
Hey, I was a disc jockey in LA my first 2 years of school. I was the
Were
morning
you
drive.
really?
I was the morning drive guy. Yeah, the station's no longer there.
What years were that? Was that
That was in the mid 70s.
mid '70s? Oh boy, that's going back.
Yeah, but I would start with Little Black Sabbath,
Uh-huh.
Little Jimmy Buffett, some Zeppelin, some Bob Dylan. So I mixed it up,
Yeah.
of everybody that was, and then we would get all these strange. When you were a college music station back there, you got the the dump is what we called it back then. I don't From the record labels, they would send you records, but they never sent the college stations their hits. All right, they never
Okay.
sent the number one album cuts from like Bob Dylan or something. You'd get some abstract, but you would also get these bands that were trying to make it,
Yeah.
right? So you might go in a club in East LA and actually see the band there with four people listening to them,
Hmm.
right? So we had a lot of that. I don't even remember a lot of them, but uh, it was when Rhino Records first started.
Mm.
And so you could get bootleg albums and all kinds of crap there, but we would play that. But I usually started with stuff people knew to get them out of bed in the morning because I was the morning drive time. So I went on the air at 6 and we played 6 to 9:15, and then you just put on Indigada Davida or something and leave your shift, like that. And they were actually albums. But yeah, all kinds of stuff we played. Every once in a while, I'd throw a piece of country music in there, and the phones would light up. What are you playing that crap for? That type of thing. So it was very interesting. Okay, just a couple more here, buddy. What's the one thing you miss about your 20s?
Oh boy. What do I miss about my 20s? How high I used to be able to jump, man. I could barely, but I could dunk that basketball. And so golf ball is really easy to dunk, but now I can't even jump off a box anymore. I
Yeah.
can't even jump down, let alone jump up.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Do you think you'll ever retire completely?
Um, I mean, no, no. I mean, golf is just like, I mean, here's what I see my trajectory with golf is, I've been part of golf for a long time, and I'm gonna try to get more on giving back to the game as I get older. So that means not only just like coaching, at the golf course, teaching at the golf course, but also like I'm coaching a high school golf team would be
Yeah.
great. My dad has been a high school golf coach since 1982 at Pendleton High School, and he's still the high school golf coach over there. And
Cool.
so he has given back to the game for so many years that I would love to follow in his footsteps and do that locally because I have so much experience with this game. It's done so much for me. I love it so much that I just want to share that passion and that experience with others.
Absolutely. Okay. Last question. You ready for
Yeah.
this one?
Mhm.
Okay. What would be your last meal if you were on death row?
Oh, man. Uh,
It always
breakfast,
makes
lunch,
them pause.
breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Dinner. Dinner.
Okay, so dinner. Um, You know, I mean, I love everything. I really do. I mean, when it comes to Thai food, pizza or Mexican food, uh, and I think I may do just a giant breakfast if I'm on death row, right?
You can
Uh,
eat anything you want.
yeah, I'm gonna gorge and I'm gonna have breakfast for dinner, and it's gonna be everything. It's gonna be the hash browns, the bacon, the eggs. There's gonna be a waffle in there. There's also going to be. Let me see what else is gonna be on this thing. Probably some breakfast cereal, something good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be breakfast for dinner. It's gonna be thousands of calories. It's gonna be delicious. But I mean, I could have said green curry. I could have gone with anything. There's so many things. Sushi, I absolutely love sushi. I would do breakfast for dinner though.
Well,
As of today, tomorrow might be different.
at that point, you don't have to worry about overeating.
Right.
It's not
Right.
going to matter.
Greasy
So,
spoon. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
all good.
donkey egg. It'd be so good. Probably some little smokies in there too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
chicken fried steak, just
Oh, I love chicken fried steak.
smothered in gravy.
It's so good.
Birk Nelson from Orange Whip Trainer. Again, real quick before we go, how do
Yeah.
they find out about you, about Orange Whip, all that stuff? Give them the sites.
Great. Orange Whip Trainer. So you can go to orangewhiptrainer.com. We're going to have some information, even the history of the Orange Whip Trainer. We have thousands of videos on YouTube on how to use an Orange Whip Trainer. But at the end of the day, it's the simplest thing to use in the world. You just swing it back and forth continuously.
There you go. Burke, thank you. We'll be back next week with another edition of Grilling at the Green. Don't forget to check out the North Valley Challenge. That's a golf series that I'm involved in, that we raising money for students and veterans and that type of thing. There's 3 tournaments, and you play for some great prizes and cash at the end of the series. So check that out too. Go to North Valley Challenge. It's on Event Caddy, and so you can even sign up right there. Go to the North Valley Challenge. Anyway, for Burke and me, thanks for listening. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next week. Go out and play some golf, have some
Take care.
fun, but most of all, be kind. But